Right, so I'm back. Yeah, couldn't resist, couldn't stay away. Have a little pint here. So basically, I would do these quite a little more frequently. It's just that, finding the time and also having the good ideas, right? So I looked at my list and I didn't quite have as many as I thought, but I did have this one. Oops, still getting used to this. So I'm moving myself here. Yeah, so it was kind of an odd choice, or it may seem. I hope this is coming through all right. So it's this bloke right here, Jürgen Habermas. Okay, and for my contention is this bloke. This is not a real person. I mean, like, look at this fucking creature, mate. What the fuck is going on here? Bloody hell! Looks like he's been hit by a train from Manchester. I mean, it's brutal, mate. Like, get a bloody nose. Now, why am I picking on this old geezer? Well, I'll tell you what. He's not quite innocent. I'm going to switch back to my normal voice. Okay, so this guy is basically the head of the the Frankfurt School. Okay, so he's basically the progenitor, inheritor of the Frankfurt School. Now, a little quick lecture for you. And this is kind of one of these controversial points. So the Frankfurt School is known for its basically being Marxists, right? Being bloody commies in it. And so like as we can see here, let me blow this up a little bit, Jamie. So let's get a little bit bigger. So we got our Wikipedia here as a source. Like Karl Marx, the Frankfurt School concerned themselves with the conditions of political, economic, societal, social, that allow for social. This is actually bullshit. This phrase, social change. I have to bloody teach this as a course in my bloody school. I bloody hate it. It's bloody nonsense, mate. It's basically just Marxism repackaged. It's all social change. How do we change? Political pressure. Ugh. It's like a course written for pussies. Like, it's just to teach these stupid, the kids about, how can we change society for the better, like Martin Luther King. Anyway, all right. So anyway, they are Marxists essentially, right? They are, German. Started in the Weimar Republic. Same time Hitler kind of was coming up, right? And what happened was, and why is this significant in the Frankfurt School anyway? When Hitler did come to power, he basically kicked them out. So we can find here, blah blah blah. As the anti-intellectual threat of Nazism increased to political violence, the founders decided to move the institute out of Nazi Germany soon after Hitler's rise to power. So he didn't exactly kick them out, but they were a bunch of pussies again. As you can see, they didn't even stick around to have it out politically with Hitler. Maybe if they had stayed and fought, they wouldn't have been a Hitler. They would have had the left, the commies balance there. But now they fled. And where do they go? To New York City, of course. Why not, right? Okay, Columbia University, and they took up residency, as we say. They took up a posting there, and basically infected North American thought with all this bloody tripe about Marxism. It's the greatest explanation for everything. Yeah, it was Marxist philosophy right here. Like, we can see, this is what they were. So, and why this is bad is that they basically spread their shite ideas and brought them over here. And now, during and after the war, this sort of got conflated. So this is the controversial point. I'm getting a little bit controversial. When they left and came to America, right, there was already these kind of accusations that most of the professors, so it was a school, but it was this group of guys, right, and they were mostly Jewish, okay? So I think we have a quote here. There's a Judaism, plurality of faiths. Okay, and this is the guy. This is I originally started with him. But where does it say that they were? Anyway, they were all quite okay. Religious affiliations, however, participants. Where is that? The Jewish community. Okay, in Frankfurt, a lot of the key members were anyway. And they connected this, this has been kind of conflated with anti-Semitism, right? Okay. But many of these members here, okay, you can even tell by the last names, right? Newman, Grossman, Schmidt, Kroll, these are all blokes, okay, Adorno as well. These are all Jewish guys, right? So, of course, they, throwing that in with, with Hitler, running from Hitler. So, but the point is not to defend Hitler or anything. It's to say that a lot of people conflate these two things. So there were a lot of Jewish Marxists, right, going on in all of Europe, right? Sorry, I just can't help myself with the accent. So there were a lot of these guys in Europe at the time of the Nazis, right, at the same time. Now, and this gave impetus. So a lot of it was, not just ideas, but we can see here there was a big split. So again, we can see the typical Marxist kind of traits, critique of Western. So it was all about critiquing Western civilization, and they brought those bad ideas to North America, right? And those became the nouveau riche. Those became the new intelligentsia ideas of, if you're smart, because Germany, you got to remember, was the center of thinking, right? If you think of Freud, Kant, all these philosophers have been coming out of Germany and the German territories for centuries by this point. So it was considered the center of, kind of intellectualism. Nietzsche, think of all these, Hegel, right? All these great philosophers coming out of there. So when they came to New York, to Columbia, they kind of spread like a cancer, like a tumor all over academia in North America. But I mean, come on, like music criticism, like fuck off, fuck off, mate. And they did push for violence as well. In fact, there was a big split over this kind of idea of praxis. Okay, and this is kind of this idea of what we might call today direct action, right? So kind of getting students riled up, young people particularly who aren't as smart, right? These are all if you go back to the first communist takeover, 1871, in Paris, Commune of 1871, following the Franco-Prussian War, right? Again, these are all these young people, the men had died in battle and were out trying to defend the city. Meanwhile, these young upstarts came in and trashed all of Paris, destroyed half of Paris, by the way. But anyway, again, so that there's this idea of praxis, okay, coming out of the Frankfurt School, right? And they had a split. There was a split, right? But there were some agreement amongst the members, basically that you were, that they wanted to commit acts of violence. Okay, and there was this one guy, Adorno. He says, I established a theoretical model of thought. How could have I expected that people would want to implement it with Molotov cocktails, right? So he's basically saying, I don't have responsibility for it. Okay, but there were a lot of people who thought you needed to have this total revolution against capitalism. Okay, and so they encouraged these protest movements in the 60s, right? Student activists took to them. Okay, where we saw over here, Angela Davis, right? Known, direct action activist, right? Marxist philosopher, right? Again, using this cover of Marxism as some kind of intellectual cover for their violence, essentially. But she was also involved in a lot of violence, I believe, allegedly. Okay, and then of course, there's Vietnam War. So they had all these debates over that. Yes. Yeah. Where's another one? Accreditation. Anyway, so there's just a whole pile of bad ideas. Like, look at this critical pedagogy. Like, again, it's all critiques. Like, what was that one before? Fucking. Art and music criticism. Like, fuck off. We're a bunch of German, Jews gonna go, criticizing Western art. Like, it's just bizarre. So anyway, how does this all come together? Well, this guy, again, I don't is the new leader of the well, he's associated with them. He's one of the main guys right now. And, like, you can see the kind of freaks they put in charge of these places, right? This is not a normal guy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know his face is screwed up. These are gremlins, right? These are goblins. It's funny. I kind of work with a guy who's left wing, who's like, he looks like a troll, talks like a troll, acts like a troll. But anyway, this guy's the new leader of the Frankfurt School, and they've had a tremendous influence. Especially in Western and especially North American academia, right? Since they took up residency in New York. Now they've gone officially back to Germany, okay? But they left this kind of lasting legacy, right, in American academia, intelligentsia of, just being generally left wing and having all this. And again, a lot of left wing is just bureaucratism, right? They kind of, guys like this, all of your college professors who are in the humanities, social sciences, they're really just making up gibberish so they can justify more gibberish and living off the gibberish that comes out of their ill-begotten minds, like their dumbfounded minds from guys like this. Okay, so do you really want to be, taking your thoughts leadership from this fucking freak? Anyway, sorry, not to pick on his looks, but he's evil. Okay, and final note on this. So this whole thing that was going down with, Ye and the whole, Nick Fuentes thing where they're explaining. I think he's just like a low IQ way of trying to, getting through to that, like saying, well, we had this problem with Marxism, which we still do, very much so. Like, if you, like, the people I work with, like, they just didn't take basic economics. Like, I want to ask some of these guys, like, because I work with all teachers, of course, they're all left-wing lunatics, just like everybody in this city, though, Toronto. The whole province, really. Even conservative people are not. But anyway, I just want to ask something, like, any of them. Like, did you take economics? No? That's what I thought. Yeah, like, just, they don't understand the economy. And instead they want to have all these social change, social movements. They just don't get that there's just human behavior, social behavior. So anyway, if you hate communism, if you hate leftism, you got to hate the Frankfurt School. Okay, yes, there were disproportionate amounts of Jews. That doesn't mean that they're all Jews, and that doesn't mean, like, none of my professors were Jewish. None of the Marxist, crazy, liberal, super leftist ones. They were just middle-class whites like me who, thought that, again, they're just going, following the leader, the dumb following the blind kind of thing, or the willfully maligned. I mean, this guy is just a freakazoid, right? But they're following them because they think that's cool. They don't have the guts or the balls or the chutzpah, whatever you want to call it, to just say to them. See, I'm using Yiddish now. To say no, this is stupid. So few professors are willing to go against the Frankfurt School, or willing to go against people like them or people who've copied them. That, like I went to a high academia liberal arts, college, and it just boggles the mind how useless it is, and the ideas that people are now taking wholesale, and I don't think a lot of these professors even expected them to. I think they're like totally shocked. Like, I didn't really think this would catch on. Like, I was just trying to be the counter to the capitalist thing. So it's all critical of this, critical of art, critical of music, critical of society, critical of any books, critical of white males, critical of anything and everything. Okay, you can't just have a society of critics critiquing everything. Okay, and it must be said, a lot of it is anti-male. Right? Who are you critiquing most of the time? The patriarchy, this man, anything they can, trying to pull strands out of everything. Okay, a lot of this is, I hate to say it, meant to appeal to women. Because, Marxists were, these guys are smart, but they're smart at being slimy manipulators, right? They know a lot of these communist, socialist arguments, like free healthcare, food for all, bread and health care for all. There's just, yeah, okay. See, it sounds really nice, and they knew everything's fair, everything's equal. Just give them a chance. And now it's morphed into this bizarre, we got transgenderism, and all of it's designed just like it was back then. Okay, by the USSR. Okay, through the Frankfurt School. Okay, and now through this Jürgen Habermas freak, to destabilize Western society, right? That's all it is. Just to anything they can to destabilize Western society, to shake it and weaken it. It's a foreign policy move. That's all I got to say for today, guys. I'll be posting a lot more, so get ready. It's going to be a wild summer. All right, see you guys soon. Peace, yo. I got to get a sign-off line or something.